tapping in. I want to make sure you know what you're tapping into. We are reading the book. Current book we're reading is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And reason why I love this book is because 3-4 years ago, I was always thinking in the past. I found myself waking up encouraged, going back to sleep in shame, right? And that's just the way I put it. And what that means is I woke up so powerfully, like, yo, I'm about to really build myself so I can build this business so I can impact and change people's lives. But then at the end of the day, I had thoughts of, why am I not where I want to be? Am I ever going to get there? So I felt shameful because I woke up empowered. I fell asleep in shame. I didn't realize that I kept living on the same story over and over. I was legit repeating the past because I kept thinking about the past. Right when I was going to sleep, instead of thinking how to create the future, sometimes I would think about the past. Now, this didn't happen every day, but it happened on most days because it was happening unconsciously. So my desires were one thing, but my emotions were not matching the desires. Right? I wanted to do one thing, but I was thinking and feeling a different thing. So what do I mean by that, y'all? All that means is I wasn't living in the present. I was living in the past or foreseen future. I remember one day I had got in trouble with 12, right? I had got in trouble with 12 and y'all tribe. So I'll tell you, I got stopped while coming in college, right? I think I ran a red flashing light, something like that. They found a reason to stop me and I got stopped and I was for the next 2 months, I was super anxious because I ended up even losing my job because I couldn't focus because I kept thinking every day, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen with the case? What's going to happen with this? And I was like, man, my life is done. They're going to kick me out of school. So I made a bunch of foreseen future that was not even a real thing. None of those things ever happened. But for 2 months, I promise you, I was like a zombie because I didn't live my life. I was living a dread possibly to happen in the future. So at some point, I read this book and I realized that I can't live like that anymore. I can't keep living in the past or worried about a foreseen future that hasn't even happened. So this is why this book is so important to me. That's why I picked it, right? So chapter 1 talks about how that you're not your mind. What we're gonna do is we're not gonna try to read it. We're gonna try to just go through it as fast as we possibly can. And then throughout the way, you could say something, stops, put your hands up, comment. This is a book. Let's talk. It's like a book club meeting, right? So you get to tell what's your opinion. So basically, in the beginning of the book, author says, okay, there's a beggar. The beggar kept begging, and he's like, what are you sitting on? He's always begging, but he's been sitting on something for a long time. My question is, what are you currently sitting on that and then you've been begging for scraps of fulfillment? So this long story goes short that the beggar kept asking for scraps of change outside of him instead of tapping into the treasure within. So because he didn't do that, he kept asking for for things. So a stranger says, listen, I don't have anything to give you, but I can tell you, look what's inside, right? So I can be that stranger, right? I can't give you $1 million right now. I can't. And even if I could, I wouldn't, because you wouldn't learn how to earn it and that wouldn't help you at all. I'd rather teach you that you can create $1 million by what's inside of you. So this guy was wiser. He was like, look inside of you and you'll find the treasure, right? So if you don't find your true wealth, then you're looking outside you for scraps of pleasure, for validation, for security, or for love. So my question for you is, have you been looking outside of you? And when in your life did you find yourself looking outside of you for scraps of pleasure or fulfillment? Right? When? When is a lifetime that you was like that? So then he talks about what is the word enlightenment. Oneness with being. What do you guys think that enlightenment is about? What is enlightenment to you? What is enlightenment to you? So enlightenment conscious. Yeah, you was gonna say something. Go ahead.
I was talking the entire time, and I realized I was on mute. That's crazy. But yeah, enlightenment to me is like realizing. I guess the realizing how you're living life, or being enlightened to about stuff you're not stuff you don't really realize in life until you pay attention, until you become like present or being aware. More so, being aware.
So you would conjure up that awareness is close to it, is it has to do with enlightenment.
Yes.
Okay. So the author says that a lot of times when we think of enlightenment, some people think of Jesus or the yogis or the Buddha, right? They think of a super enlightened being that is just tapped into the divine. But that's something that we all can experience, is the oneness with being. Now, the author doesn't use the word God because he says many people have different definitions of God, right? So he uses the word being, which for this purpose, I like it because it completely takes, it just says oneness with being, right? And yeah, so when I think enlightened, think of this, being in the light, right? I'm enlightened, I'm in the light out of darkness, right? I'm in light, and then being lit up, right? Being, so if you have spirals of energies within you, it's getting all of them to flow, become one, so you can be in the light, right? Enlightenment also has to do with your pituitary gland. It has to do with the pineal gland. So enlightenment for me is, what is that? Okay, yeah, enlightenment for me is is tapping into your power long enough so that way that power shines outside of you in your life. Tapping into your power long enough where that light shines outside of you in your life and through your face. Right? Both the Bible and many other sources have said an enlightened being has a different way about them. Right? It talks about how an enlightened being have a different aura, right? The word says it specifically in a different way. There's a different look in a man's face. So what does that mean? You can see it in your face. So enlightenment shines through your aura. So can you believe that after a while of tapping in, sticking to your power long enough, connecting to the ultimate power, you start to see that fire in you. Okay. I can go deeper in that subject, but we'll talk about it deeper. So what it says, the inability, if you don't feel connected to the one, then you might feel separated from you and the world around you, right? So this is the thing. When we feel out of touch, it's because we feel disconnected with everything. Oneness is about knowing how everything is connected. So of course, the Buddha says the definition of enlightenment is the end of suffering, right? It's suffering lies in the darkness, but in the light, it's hard to suffer because you start to be in awe of everything. Because when you can see how the plants grow, you no longer worry about if the weeds will take over because you realize that no matter what happens, the plant's still growing. So the end of suffering is enlightenment. Now, suffering is a choice. Pain is inevitable, right? Suffering is a choice. Pain is inevitable. We think suffering means pain, right? Pain is not necessarily suffering. Pain can cause suffering, but pain is a tool of, what was the pain? Is a tool of either redirection or creation. I had said it a different yesterday, but the Buddha says pain is the end of suffering. I mean, enlightenment is the end of suffering. When you realize that you're in one with everything, everything that you need is within you, how can you possibly dwell on what's missing? Okay, so what is your definition of the word being? Because somebody asked me, use the word being. Can you explain what you mean by that? Can somebody explain to me, what does it mean? What's your being? Adrian, Diamond, Liz, Homie?
Being who you are, your spirit, I guess, your soul. That's
What
what I
else?
think.
Just throw some stuff out there.
Your spirit, your soul, your energy.
Okay.
Being.
Yeah, no, your love for
Who you
God.
are, how you are, what you are.
Who you are, how you are, what you are. What else?
Your being. Being.
God,
What
Jesus.
you represent and stand for, your being. Your being.
So I mean, what you represent and stand for would actually be the opposite of the being, because
Oh,
that's identification.
Who you are.
got it.
Who you are. Okay, so I'm not taking one definition. I'm just hearing your current opinion. So
What?
here, the author defines it as being is being the eternal, ever-present one life beyond the myriad forms of life that is subject to birth and life. That's heavy. So
Eternal.
being is the essence of you if you didn't learn anything of this earth, right? Being is the essence of you if you didn't learn anything of the earth, this earth. And what do you think I kind of mean by that? The essence of you if you didn't learn anything on this earth, if you didn't identify with anything, if you didn't bring any attachments to you. So
Right.
being does being has to do with your spirit, but it's not just your spirit, but it's the oneness of that spirit to be able to tap back into God. So now it can be multiple definitions. That's just the way I can put it in words, right? So when you're present and your attention is fully intentionally in the now, being can be felt and it can never be understood mentally. So don't try to mentally understand it because it's hard to. You you have to be to you have to be to get the concept of being. It's like when you're sitting in that moment where you feel like you just tapped into this infinite source where you no longer exist, where as in your personality, what you got to do, your title, then you're really tapping into the being. So now the author says, well, this is why he doesn't use the word God because it becomes a closed concept. People make gods out of what they believe. So I can get why the author says this, right? I can understand. I can see it from his perspective. Once again, you don't have to adopt authors' philosophies to be your own. Just see where they're coming from. Why? Because yeah, how many different people have many different gods? Like some people have over thousands of gods. So he has his reason for saying being. So now the author says, what would be the biggest thing to like experience your being when you identify with your mind? Remember, Diamond, when he said who you are and who you be. Now that is not the being. That is not the spirit. That is the who you
Domesticated.
identified yourself to be in your environment, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I would say the carnal self. So when you identify with you so much, then you like, oh, these are my thoughts. This is my thinking. This is me. This is me. This is me. Now you identify it to the point. Let's say you had a malicious thought, and it just kind of get in your head, and don't know how. Let's say you just kept shaming yourself for this thought. This means you've identified yourself too much with the thought. So it says the mental noise prevents you from finding the realm of your inner stillness because you have a false mind-made self, right? You've claimed you've I am'd yourself into who you thought yourself to be. Now, Joe Dispenza also went against Descartes, where he said that I think, therefore I am.
Mhm.
He said no, right? Remember that last book we read when he said,
Yeah.
you are not your thoughts,
Yeah.
right? But we've
Right.
heard this a lot. But I would say this is partially true. I think, therefore I am my pseudo version. So the identification with your mind is the I think, therefore I am. It's the misidentification. But if we
As a
reverse
man
that
think,
instead, yes, what was that, Omi?
as a man thinketh.
As a man thinketh, so is he. But
Yeah.
these statements are also flawed to some extent. Not that they're wrong. You create what you think about, but are you what you think about?
No.
No. Thinking is the tool of creation.
All right.
It should be as a man thinketh, so he creates. If he thinketh a certain way, then he creates a certain being, a certain persona. As a man thinketh, so he creates. And if he keeps thinking the same way, he creates a persona. So the difference is you're not becoming what you're thinking. You're adopting the face of what you're thinking, the persona. Persona coming from the personality, coming from the Latin word persona, coming from the Latin from mask or many faces. So I want to clear that up because you really want to separate who you really are versus who you've been thinking you are. So identification creates an opaque screen of concepts, labels, images, words, judgments, and definitions. How many, let me ask you a question. When was the time you said to yourself, that's just not me? Oh, that's just not me. Oh, I don't do, that's not me. I don't do things like that. I'm not that type of person. Because what? We have concepts, we label, we judge, we have definitions, and we've defined ourselves to be a certain way. Now it's up to the point where you can forego your being and just identify whatever you want to be. If we're living in this world, you can really, now you could identify with no sort of, it's just, there's no sort, you can do identify whatever you want. So what is it says? And if you catch a line that's interesting here, point it out, right? Point it out, and then we talk about it. Anything here you see that you. So now, thinking has become a disease. What do you think about that? Is thinking a disease?
Absolutely.
When you think too much, yes.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
You
How
overthink.
so? How is thinking a disease?
Because you overthink your problems.
Stops you from being present.
It's a disease. Well, it's a disease because if you're thinking wrong thoughts, I mean, chemically you're like doing something in your body and imbalance and stuff, and then it becomes like to physical. That's not energy or whatever. To physical, like
It turns into anxiety.
yeah, it turns into things. Yeah.
So look, it says thinking become a disease. Disease happens when things get out of balance. See that? Just what you just said. Now, if your thinking gets out of balance, if your thinking is all the way up here and your being is all the way down here, then there's a out of balance. So you've thought yourself to being this way instead of being this way. You thought yourself to being this way instead of being that way. Y'all got that sentence?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but when you say being, you're not using that being and the being. Like, am I
No,
thinking?
no. Nah,
Okay.
I'm
Being
just
as
using the
in doing.
being the adjective.
Okay.
You
Got
taught
it.
yourself to being this way instead of being that way. Or instead of being.
Yeah, I get it.
Of course, you know me, I got this whole philosophical thing going on with me, but that's
I
just
feel
me.
you. I feel you.
For example,
It's like
so
balance. I don't know.
what was that?
It's to me, it's like balance because you're overthinking something, but you know that's not right. So you're trying to bring it together. I don't know.
Right.
You're
I
trying to
mean,
calm yourself to not be at that state.
but here's
And
the thing. You can't think yourself out of a thinking hole.
Hmm.
If you to think yourself out of a thinking hole is to dig the hole dip deeper. So that's the issue. That's why thinking has become a problem, a disease. Right? And you feel like you have to.
I have to think.
You have to think. Like, imagine if you didn't have to think about if you could just sit and not think.
That'd be awesome.
Some people would say, man, are you crazy? Then society tell you that if you don't think, you're crazy, you're stupid.
Yep. Think about your choices. Think about your decisions.
Highest form of meditation to be able to sit and not think. It's powerful.
yeah,
You don't think?
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you
What
get
do
you
you
hear
think?
that all the time. Like you've been hardwired to think excessively.
And then that
That's so
saying, what are
true.
you thinking? What are you thinking?
What are you thinking?
I hate that.
Think about this.
Okay, so how many times have you heard this one though? The opposite. Get out of your feelings.
All
Yep.
the
Think
time.
straight.
If you
Get out your head. Get out your feelings. Damn.
got feelings.
Get out your head and get out your feelings. It's tell your spirit.
That's like the whole we've been domesticated to use the right hand and not our left hand.
Yes.
The left hand is what right brain and creativity. Like, yeah, we probably mostly really left-handed. Shoot.
It's like this thing says. It's those associations. So let's keep going. So if you believe that you are your mind, you have delusion. Your mind is a tool. Now your brain takes about 20% of your body's energy, right? The brain and the mind. What's the difference between the mind and the brain? The brain is the hardware. The mind is the software.
Your mind is exercising the brain.
The mind is exercising the brain, right? The brain is the physical tissues, right? You have multiple components. You have the frontal lobe. You have the all these different lobes in your brain. Neocortex, right? You have the base of the brain. These are different parts of the brain. But your mind, can you conceptualize how your mind even works? Like when you think about something, can you conceptualize that? Not necessarily.
Nope.
So just because let's read this. You believe that you are a mind. This is a delusion. Just because you can solve a crossword puzzle or build an atom bomb doesn't mean that you use your mind.
That's
Just as
true.
dogs love to chew bones, the mind loves to get his teeth on problems. Look, let's read this. He said, I don't quite agree. It is true that I do a lot of aimless thinking, like most thinking, but I can still choose to use my mind to get and accomplish things, and I do that all the time. So the author says, just because you can solve a crossword puzzle or build an atom bomb doesn't mean that you use your mind. Just as dogs love to chew bones, the mind loves to get its teeth into problems. That's why it does crossword puzzles and build atom bombs. You have no interest in either. Let me ask you, can you free your mind whenever you want to? Have you found the off button?
Yes.
How?
By meditating or just doing nothing. And
Being present.
Right? So what did you think about what the author said?
That's kind of like.
Somebody said you have to use your mind. But he said just because you could use it to build atom bombs or solve crossword puzzles doesn't mean you're using it.
That's kind of like, huh? What do you mean?
Let that ponder, right? You don't have to figure that out. That's why we're reading the whole book. So he says, if you can't stop thinking, then the mind is using you. If you have to think, then you've lost the control of your mind. The beginning of freedom is the realization that you are not the possessing entity. That you are not the possessing entity, the thinker. Knowing that enables you to observe the entity. So start watching the thinker. A higher level of consciousness has become activated. This is the statement that changed my life. Observer, watching the thinker. I started to watch what I was thinking. Watch your thoughts so you can wash your thoughts. Let me comment that. Watch your thoughts so you can wash your thoughts. Alright? So that really changed my life. Because I started associating with it. Instead of getting the burden, I just started to see it as experience. I want you to do this experience. See what you're thinking and just, like, right now. Take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out. And then start. I'm thinking. Just observe what you're thinking. Just now open your eyes. What just, since somebody shared, what did you observe just now?
I'm just thinking of calm and relaxing.
But I'm saying, was that the
I'm trying
actual
to
thing?
figure out what I'm trying to think about.
Oh, okay. So you're trying to figure, okay. What else?
Yeah, I was observing myself to see what would I think about.
And what did that do? Did you start thinking about anything?
No.
What about you, Diamond?
I started thinking about just like the miracle that I will receive over the next 7 days or the next week, and the levels I'm about to go up, and just the new knowledge that I'm really gonna learn and become aware of. So
Okay.
like I had an actual
So
vision.
it's, how about you, Adrian? S- So it sounded like you are intentionally thought of something when you started to think. Okay, you intentionally thought. Your mind wasn't going on. You was actually in the present. And Diamond, when you started thinking, you think you was thinking about what's exciting for you. So that brought that back up,
Yeah, I
right?
just had a visualization of like this week coming up, and I just that's what came to me
Yeah,
after.
that's what came. Yes. Yeah, Adrian, you gotta join the audio. I think that's why I haven't been able to hear you. Hear you. I was wondering where that loving voice was. So now
Who
let's
that?
go. Freeing yourself from your mind. What exactly does it mean by watching the thinker? The fact is that everyone has a voice or several voices in their head. So the thoughts that you have are voices in your head. And involuntary thought process that you don't realize that you have the power to stop. Continuous monologues or dialogues. I want you to think about this. What conversation am I having with myself right now? What conversation am I having with myself? Right, question you can ask yourself. So let's go through it. 22 more pages. We're trying to go through this whole thing. Is it 8:38? Okay, let's just go through it. So if you keep listening to the soundtrack, the same soundtrack, change the tape. And if you keep listening to the soundtrack of your mind, stop the tape and listen to the soundtrack of what's around you. Literally. If you start to tune your ears to your environment, you will take your mind out of the tape. Like for instance, you know how you have a CD playing in the car, and
Mhm.
all of a sudden there's like you start the music gets too loud, and you like turn down the music. I can't see. Look, wait, what?
Yeah.
Funny.
You're like,
Other
wait a
day,
minute.
You lower the music to find the
what
address.
is that?
That's sensory overload.
Just thought of
That's
that.
sensory overload. Your senses can get overwhelmed. It's hard to use both senses at maximum capacity. So your thought is your sixth sense. If you step out the sixth sense and you step the other five,
Head down. That's true. That's so funny. When you're driving and you're trying to find the address and the music is playing.
Lower
So
the music.
yeah.
I
You
do
lower
that.
the music.
I get yelled at for doing that. He's like, why the fuck you lowering the music? That's not gonna do nothing.
Yeah. I did that the day before yesterday trying to park, and I was like, I really want to know why I just did that because yeah, sensory overload.
That's so
it has to
funny.
do with your sensory overload.
Sensory overload.
I'm gonna tell you something. I can't work without music. I can't think straight. So when I'm at work and the music goes off, I go crazy. I go up and I take care of the music myself.
Oh, music go off. I mean, come on. I can't think straight. I can't read. I can't do nothing. If it's
I
words,
I can't. I'm opposite. Yeah. I'm the same way too. I can't think with music.
have
You know
words.
what the other thing is that's strange? I can't sleep in silence. I need a radio or a TV on.
Mm.
That's not normal. I don't know.
I'm the same way with the fan. Even if I don't need it, it's on, and I don't know if that's Yeah.
I think because I grew up with a lot of noise around me and I'm not used to silence.
So yeah, you have to recondition the brain. So I was gonna say it's the sensory overload. It's called sensory overload. Your sensory says, see, I got you going in my calendar. You need to do this too. Did it. Done. Okay. Sensory. Okay, thank you, Dr. Ben. All right. So, yes. So, sensory overload. Thank you.
You act.
All right. So, if your sixth sense is too active, focus on the other five. So, start listening more clearly. Start seeing more clearly. Start touching with more sensory touch. This takes you out of your head into your being because you're experiencing life more. Right? So the same way that you quiet down the radio so you could watch the road is you want to watch the road to quiet down the radio of your thinking brain. Did that make sense?
Yes, because you want to clear your mind for a minute so you could focus.
Right. And to think about what you're thinking, to stop the thinking is not going to help. To focus on something else and observe the thinking will help more. You can free yourself from your mind. This is the only liberation. You can take the first step right now. Start listening to the voice in your head as often as you can. Pay particular attention to any repetitive thought patterns. Right? Those old gramophone records that have been playing in your head, perhaps for many years. There are repeated thoughts that you think about every day. I want you to get in touch with those repeated thoughts. Right? Even in here, you've said some of those repeated thoughts. Right? Because when you speak, you express what's in your mind. Share what's on your mind. So that's why journaling is a good way to see the repeated thoughts. Right? It's when you journal, you literally observe. You literally take your thoughts, put it on paper, and you observe them. You look at them. So listen, when you listen to the voice in your head, listen to it impartially. Do not judge it. Do not judge or condemn what you hear.
Right. Because the judging causes the suffering.
Yes. Adrian, yes, tell us, what do you think about that? I finally can hear you now.
Oh, I've been like, I was like, oh, I guess they can't hear me. I've been saying stuff the whole time, but yeah. So like kind of like what you were saying earlier, when it comes to pain, you can't. The pain is inevitable, but the suffering, that's kind of self-inflicted. And what that basically means is, when you start getting into that rabbit hole of thoughts, like, oh, I should have did this, oh, I'm sick for that, or this is what happened last time. You're judging your experience, and that's the suffering because you create. I think Diamond was saying you create that reaction or chemical reaction in your mind that actually takes you back to that period of suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the anxiety of things, you predicting what's going to happen and it may not even occur. So you're allowing yourself to feel something, have a negative experience, and you're not even there because we're so powerful. So a good way to not, like you were saying, Ed, if you try to think your way out of something, that just causes you to think about it more. It's just about like maybe just bringing your awareness back to the breath. It's a good anchor. It's something. It's a tool that's always there with you, but we often, don't pay attention to it unless like we're suffering, like, oh, I'm out of breath. But if you use that tool just to bring your awareness to the flow of the breath, from your chest or from your belly or from your nose, that's a good way to anchor yourself and, just observe your thoughts from a non-judgmental standpoint. So that was my thought. I was rambling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ethan, I never stop finishing powerful statements with words like that. Girl, you just
Hey,
said the word. Come on, you ain't
I'm a
rambling.
work in progress. So I'm getting there. A month ago, I wouldn't even said that much, Ed. So, yeah,
You're good. You're good. I'm
I'm
just
getting
saying you just said
there.
something beautiful.
Yeah,
What you
well,
just said
thank
was
you.
beautiful. Great
Indeed.
summary.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. And
That was
then
good.
something else I learned out is like like when you talk about when you're driving and you need to turn down your music because you're listening, you're looking for a certain street. That's like a system in our brain. Like I know I heard Les Ram talk about the reticular activating system. It's like
Yes.
it's the thing that filters all the things that our senses experience, like a sensory overload. So that's the thing that points out the thing that's most important. So it's like, well, I need to find this sign. So it's like, oh, if something happens in your brain, it's like, well, I'm hearing too much, so let me turn it down so I can focus on what's most important. I mean, I think that's so neat how that process works. Um, but yeah,
Yep.
anyway.
Yeah,
So
the RAS it is serious. So when you listen to, yeah, the RAS is like, you see a red car, you start seeing a red car because it's what you're focused on is what will grow, is what your
right.
attention will show. So when
So
you
yeah.
listen to a thought, you're aware not only of the thought but also yourself as a witness of the thought. Okay.
Another example isn't like, let's say you see a new car, and then all of a sudden you see a whole bunch of the same cars. But you never
Yeah.
seen them before.
Yes, that's the RAS. That's what dictates what you see because now you've made it familiar to your brain. Now your brain looks for it. What you put for your brain to look is what you will find.
Mm. Good morning.
Okay.
You too. Thanks.
So as you listen to the thought, you feel so this is what listening to your thought, Diamond. This is exactly for you in this weekend, this week. Right? I was telling you the one advice I can give you is to be the observer. Right? So
Mm-hmm.
as you listen to the thought, you feel a conscious presence, your deeper self, behind, underneath the thought. Like imagine if you were shaming yourself. Imagine that being within you that just has a forgiveness or a love for you at that moment. When you realize like, man, I realize how you feel. Let's say you're in a room and you're trying to say something, but at the same time you feel like everybody is judging you. So all of a sudden you start thinking about, man, what are they judging me for? What if instead of feeding into what you're thinking about, you went into saying, man, as a human, I can see why I'm seeing that they might be judging me, and I love you, Ed. Forget what they're saying. Forget what you think they're saying. Just be yourself right now and enjoy this moment. That's a loving presence that you just gave to yourself because you understood your own human experience. There's a Bible verse that says, "Forgive them for they don't know what they're doing."
That's what Jesus said
Right?
on the cross when he was dying.
Exactly. So, or also another thing, it says people only perpetuate pain because they're in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Those two statements must be common for you. I'm perpetuating this pain right now because I'm in pain. What is this pain communicating to me? And how can I release it? Forgive me because my old self does not know what it's doing. So you need to find that gap of no mind, right? And as you cultivate it, as you practice it, you get more and more no mind, like a nomad. All right, so at first, gaps will be short, stillness and peace. So some people think it's a trance-like state, but it's more of a subtle joy, a joy of being, just enjoying that you are here and you're being right now. And by the way, y'all do some body drumming if you want to get some neck tension out yourself. So, boom. Let's try to skim through. I really would be nice if I went through this whole book chapter. Feeling your presence with intensity and joy. That thinking, emotions, is physical body as well the external world becomes insignificant. Have you ever sat down and you felt like nothing else mattered?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah? Bring that feeling back into your body now if you can. In fact, let's do these last few minutes in a meditative state. I'm going to kind of like skim through, read, and guide you through a meditation as I will go through the rest 18 of the pages. And we'll do it as fast as I can. I feel like I'm over time, but I just want to get this whole work. I don't think
All
y'all in
good.
much.
It's all good
That's
in this
just
life.
the way it is.
Okay, so you're gonna sit down, stay erect, breathing in, breathing out. We're gonna do the rest of the review in the meditative state. So get yourself into no mind. But it's hard to get there if you're thinking. So let's do the induction process we learned from the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. So what is this process? First, you get in touch with how you feel externally. Wiggle your toes. From the toes, feel your ankle, your shin, your knee, your quad, hamstrings, inner thigh, the booty, the pelvic, the groin. Work your way up, lower abdomen. Breathing in, breathing out to the lower abdomen, along the waist, towards the chest. Feel energy coming up towards the elbow, down the arm. Breathe in, breathe out. Up towards your neck. Shooting up towards your brain. So I'll read a couple words from the book. The opposite. If the price of peace is lowering your consciousness, then the price of stillness would be stillness lacking vitality and alertness. In this state of interconnectedness, you are much more than alert, more awake than in the mind identified state. You are fully present. Keep breathing in and breathing out. It also raises the vibrational frequency of the energy field that gives life to the physical body. As you go deeply into this realm of no mind, it is realize the state of pure consciousness. Feel your own presence with such intensity and such joy that all the thinking, all the emotions, your physical body, as well as the whole external world has become relatively insignificant in comparison to it. And yet, this is not a selfish, but a selfless state. It takes you beyond what you previously thought of as yourself. That presence is essentially you, and at the same time, unconceivably greater than you. You are in touch with the Creator by being in one with yourself. Instead of watching the thinker, prevent that head nodding. Keep your head straight, your back aligned, chin, eyes half closed. Breathe in, breathe out, relax your shoulders. Instead of watching the thinker, create a gap in the mind by directing the focus of your intention into the now. Become intentionally conscious of the present moment. Feel the wind going and hitting your face. Feel the AC. Hear any noises. Feel any sensations in your body. This is a very deeply satisfying thing to do. Draw consciousness away from your mind activity and create a gap of no mind, in which you are highly alert and aware, but not thinking. This is the essence of meditation. Now, as you go through the day, imagine you taking every mundanely normal activity and not making it a means to an end, but giving it your full attention, so that the activity is the very thing you seek to do. What does that mean? When you walk up and down the stairs of your house, pay close attention to every step. When you walk today, focus on your heels striking, the toes striking, your arms moving, and your breath taken, the sweat coming out of your palm. When you wash your hands, pay close attention to the senses, how you're touching the hands, the sound and feel of the water, the movement of your hands. So imagine that in your head now, the scent of the soap and so on. When you get into the car, as you close the door, pause for a few seconds and observe the flow of your breath. Observe the flow of your breath right now. The only way to measure this is the peace that you feel with it. The most vital step on your journey towards enlightenment is to disidentify with your mind. Smile at the voice of your head rather than identifying with it. Smile at what you're thinking. Whatever you're thinking right now, just smile at it. Your mind is an instrument, a tool. You don't have to think compulsively. When you can stop thinking, you have given the addiction to thinking. When you no longer feel that when you feel like you have the choice to stop, and the thoughts are no longer stronger than you, you get into true abundance. But when you feel like you don't have the choice to stop, it gives you a false sense of pleasure, which then turns into pain. So no longer identify with your thoughts or derive your sense of self from them. Know that the peace that you feel is the godly presence that's within you. Let go of the ego. The mind activity that keeps you in identification with the mind. Don't identify who you think you are, your title, what you have. See yourself as an extension of God. Let go of your ego. That's what it means to truly let go and let God. The ego doesn't see the present, only the past and future. Because you're basing your life on who you once was and who you're gonna be, but not seeing what's right in front of you. Let go of the ego and get in touch with God. Enjoy this moment that you're in this class, well, this gathering. Enjoy this moment that you're around such light beings who grow together every rising. The present moment holds the key to liberation. So now take your fingers and tap in between the forehead. This has to do with the pituitary gland, has to do with intuition. Enlightenment means to rise above thought, not falling back to the level below thought, the level of animal or plant. In the enlightenment state, you use your thinking mind when needed, but in much more focused and effective way than before. You use it most for practical purposes, but you are free of the involuntary internal dialogue, and there's inner stillness. When you do use your mind, you use it for a creative solution. Emotion arises at the place where the mind and body meet. It is the body's reaction to your mind. Now put your hand on your chest and the thymus gland in between the chest. Feel that. Your emotion arises at the place where the mind and body meet. The mind and body meets at the center, at the chi. Where we're tapping right now, this is where the mind and body meets. The chi field. Say to yourself, I am disidentifying with my thinking, with my likes and dislikes, judgments and interpretations. I am unidentifying with my thinking, likes and dislikes, judgments and interpretations. Now go 3 fingers above the belly button. To watch an emotion is basically listening to or watching a thought. Emotions. 3 fingers below the belly button. It was above at the solar, now 3 fingers below the belly button. Have you ever had an emotion in your body and it took over? I want you to see that emotion come, but you took over the emotion and you transmuted it because you were there to see what it was trying to tell you and you converted it. You are not your emotion. You are the watcher, the observing presence. Observe how you feel and redirect it so you can heal. Make it a habit to ask yourself, what is going on inside of me at this moment? This question will point you to the right direction. Don't analyze, just watch. Focus your intention within. Feel the energy of the emotion. Keep tapping 3 fingers below the belly button. If there is no emotion present, take your attention more deeply into the energy field of your body. It is the doorway to your being. So now, you're gonna stop tapping and you're just gonna do the fire breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Repeatedly. Love, joy, and peace are deep states of being. 3 aspects of interconnectedness with being. They arise beyond the mind. Emotions, being part of the dualistic mind, are subject to the law of opposites. Real love does not make you suffer. How could it? It doesn't suddenly turn into hate, nor does real love turn into pain. Before you are enlightened, before you freed yourself from the mind, you may get a glimpse of true joy, true love, or deep inner peace, but still vibrantly alive. These are aspects of your true nature, which usually obscured by the mind. Even within a normal addictive relationship, there can be moments where the presence of something more genuine can be felt. Bring back a glimpse of love, a glimpse of joy, a glimpse of peace. If you just had it just now, bring it, and I want you to expand it. Expand joy, expand love, expand peace, and feel it. Put both hands on the heart. Breathe in, breathe out, visualize red or pink, and feel that extreme. All cravings are the mind seeking salvation or fulfillment in external things and in the future as a substitute for the joy of being. Do you look towards the future for your happiness, or do you create it in your present? As long as you are your mind, you are those cravings, those needs, those wants, those attachments. And apart from there is no I except from the mere possibility, an unfulfilled potential, a seed that has not yet sprouted. In this state, even my desire to become free or enlightened as another craving for fulfillment or completion in the future. So don't seek to be present, but be present. Breathe in, raise your arm. Breathe out, lower your arm. So now we're gonna get into doing some Qigong. So get up slowly, keep your eyes slowly dim. Don't get out of that state. We're gonna do a couple of Qigong moves. And then that's how we close our session. So breathe in, shift your weight towards your toes. Breathe out towards the heel. Eyes half closed, tongue at the root of the two front teeth. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Remember, your wrist leads you and causes a forward shift lean. And then the elbow leads you, causing you to shift back towards the heel. Breathe in, shift towards the toes. Breathe out, shift towards the heel. Really feel the shift so intensely that that's all you're focusing on. Nothing else that you just reflected on even matters right now, because you already left that in the past. All that matters is what you're doing. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now hands to the side. Form an X. Bend. Your knees raise off the toes, lifting your arms on the side. Breathing in, then breathing out. Down, gathering up center. Keep your eyes about half closed, squinting so you can halfway see the screen. But you're really just bringing your awareness within. Breathe in, gather, uplift, descend. And the last thing is the microcosmic orbit. Gather from the earth, bringing it up towards the chest, extend it to the palm, lean your head back towards the face, towards the sky, mixing the elements. Tongue at the base of the two front teeth. Alright, bring it center. And this concludes our gathering. Thank y'all for doing this and being with me. Growing together, loving on each other. Drop some affirmations in the chat. Share with me how was that experience for you? Did you feel like you got here in the present? Were you still thinking? How was that?
I was still had times where I was thinking, but I was more conscious. I was more aware of the fact that I was actually thinking. These are the things that I've been used to thinking and causing feelings, and then it became a little easier to, once I recognized it, get back to what we were doing physically or what I was hearing.
Yes. So that was the purpose, was to also observe it. So that you did, that was the whole thing. So that's exactly how, what the book was talking about. So you applied the book. It was not to just stop the thinking, but it's to be able to observe it when it does happen, and then get back to the present.
Okay, all right, leave that there. Let's get back to right now.
Exactly. So let's get it. I know it's time to go. We've been here long enough, right? It's about that time. So drop your affirmations and let's get it going. All right. I'm gonna make an affirmation book from the tribe, y'all. We got so many affirmations that we could accumulate them affirmations and just have
that would be incredible.
A plethora. An affirmations book made by the tribe. So that means y'all gonna have to get your royalty fees. Because every time you drop one, you just dropped one to the book.
I think about 36.
All right, let's get it. So everybody gonna say their own affirmations.
Let's go.
Repeat after them.
Ready?
Okay. I'm ready. Who's first?
I am asserting the mastery of my real self.
I am asserting the mastery of my real self.
I am asserting the mastery of my real self.
I am asserting the mastery of my real self.
Yes.
I am showing up as my spirit before I bring my personality to the table.
I am showing up as my spirit
before I bring my personality to the table.
Showing up as my spirit before I bring my personality to the table.
Diamond.
Oh, I am walking in the light and being guided by the Most High.
I am walking in the light and being guided by the Most High. I am walking in the light and being guided by the Most High.
Being guided by the Most High.
I am letting go of my ego and let God illuminate through me.
I
am letting go of my ego and let God illuminate through me. I am living presently, and my presence is a gift to the world.
I am
living presently, and my presence is a gift to the world. Diamond.
I am making a real choice to stay committed and consistent.
I am making a real choice to stay committed and consistent. I am making a real choice to stay committed and consistent. I am not my mind. I am a
I am not
powerful and
my mind.
creative spirit.
I am not my mind. I am a powerful and creative spirit.
Spirit.
I am not my mind. I am a powerful and creative being.
I am not my mind. I
I
am
am not
powerful
my
and
mind.
creative
I am a
being.
powerful and creative being.
I am
I
not
am
my
not my
mind. I
mind.
am
I
a
am a
powerful
powerful
and
creative
creative being.
being.
Power, power, power. I am leveling up and letting go.
I'm leveling up and letting go.
I
Leveling
am
up
I am
and
leveling up
letting
I'm
and
leveling up
letting
and
leveling
go.
up
letting
and
go.
letting go.
am leveling up and letting go.
I am leveling up and letting go.
I
I am
am
leveling
leveling
up
up
and
and letting
letting
go.
go.
I identify my emotions, but I don't identify with my emotions.
I
I
identify
I
my
identify my
emotions,
emotions,
identify
but
but
I
I
my
don't
don't
My
identify
emotions.
with my
emotions,
identify
but
with
emotions.
my
I
I don't
emotions.
identify
identify with my
with my
emotions.
emotions. I
I
identify
identify
with,
my emotions,
But
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 I
I
I
don't
don't
identify
identify with my
with my
emotions.
emotions.
My emotions is just a communication tool.
My
My
emotions
emotions
is
is
just a
just a
communication
communication
tool.
tool.
communication tool.
So be it. All
Thank you,
right.
everybody. That was
That was
great.
great.
And I have a question.
Yes.
If
Hold on.
I
Let me stop
made
the music. Okay. Yes.
if I made way too much juice, it's a done deal. Like I can't freeze it and when I come back. It kind of no.
What do you mean?
So I went because I did I went by the 5 pounds,
No, you didn't make way
and
too much.
for
There's no
for
possible way that you won't be able to drink whatever amount you made in 7 days.
no, but that's the thing. It's not 7 days. It's I'm gonna drink it today, tomorrow, and maybe once two Sunday because
So
then I'll be there.
no,
So
you're gonna run out.
huh?
You're not gonna have none left.
Oh, okay. For
You
six,
know,
so that's
how many
okay.
ounces did you make?
I don't know how many ounces it was. It
How,
was
how
like
tall is it? Like, cause a 56 ounce still lasts like 2-3 days.
okay,
So here's the thing: just drink it till it's done. Before you go, make sure you drink it all, and
okay. I
you
thought I
bring
had
the rest with you for that day.
okay. All right.
Okay.
Yes. Easy peasy.
All right.
Peace
Peace
and
and
love.
love, y'all. Peace
Everybody have
and
a good
love.
day.
We
Yo,
spent
Ed.
extra time together today. Extra
Yo,
time.
Ed.
Yes. What's up, brother?
Are you on TikTok?
Yes.
That definitely.
I
I need to follow you. I think that's a great space for you to share some of the stuff. Like, because I seen a lot of great holistic people on there sharing some wonderful stuff with people, and that really helps because I follow a lot of them on there, and it's an awesome place. Especially the fact that I know you love being in touch with video and stuff like that too. Maybe sharing like some
yeah.
qigong and stuff on there will be awesome. You can really help out a lot of people because I learned a lot off of there.
Right. I
I
need to.
actually
I'm
love
gonna
it
focus.
better.
I'm
I
gonna hone
actually
in on
love
it.
it better than Instagram.
Yeah. I'm gonna hone in on it. I'm gonna take that because I've been thinking about it. I just need to do it. I have been a little bit overwhelmed lately, just doing so many things, but I have to do it. I'm gonna do it.
And I feel like you got a great personality for TikTok too. So I think that would be awesome for you.
All right, I'm a tick tock it up, tick tock it up. I got you.
I think it'll be awesome, bro. So,
I'm gonna be on that. I'm gonna make a TikTok before 12. Before
okay,
12, I'll make sure we have a TikTok.
let's
Mm.
go.
Thank you for that.
So
For sure, my bro. All
Don't
right,
make me
guys, have
one.
a blessed day.
Have a
have a
Love you
blessed
blessed,
guys.
day.
incredible,
And Omi,
amazing.
let's schedule a time to talk. Because let's get those meetings back up.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
What
So
time is
I'm
it?
thinking like midday.
Okay,
All right. So I'm gonna text you.
cool. All right, my bro.
All right, brother.
Peace and love,
All right.
everyone.
Peace
Bye.
and love. Have a wonderful time.